Hey, hello cool people, this is Nawaz. In my previous video I've shown you how you can install and configure an Apache web server. In this video I'm going to show you how you can configure a virtual host. And now what is a virtual host? Well, virtual host is a powerful feature of Apache that allows you to run multiple websites on a single web server using a single IP address. If you want to know more, you can do a Google search like what is a virtual host in Apache, and it says aka virtual host. I used to run more than one website using single IP address, blah blah, whatever. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do that. So let me log into my server. This is my CentOS server. We are creating a web server now. So let me log into my root. If you don't know what is SSH, I'll tell you later. Okay, this is my server. You see my IP is this. Okay, let's see if okay, Apache is one. So now what we're gonna do is to create a virtual host. Let me portray it for you. Firstly, ignore this. Just ignore this. Okay. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna edit the config file. Then we're gonna restart the service. Simple, cool. Let's go. It's if we go to our configuration file, if you remember, it's conf and httpd.conf. If you go to the end of the file, you press Shift J. In a VI or Vim editor, you can do that. As you can see, there's a template provided for virtual host. You can just go like this and copy and paste. I'm not gonna do that. I don't like it. I like to type. We specify here virtual host :80. My server name. I'll explain to you what it is. My server name would be www.nxz.com. My document root, you know what is a document root now if you have watched my previous video. Let's place this website in a different directory, I would say. Let's place it in home NxZ and www. My server admin will be NxZ@nxz.com. My error log would be inside home, same directory I would say. www. Let's place it inside logs folder here. We'll create these two folders. We'll do this and let's call this as error log, and custom log, which is nothing but access log. We'll place in the same directory in my document root, I'd say logs, and I'll call this as access log with common setting. Just go by default settings, simple as that. Okay, so what we basically did here was we started a virtual host tag. We're saying this is a virtual host, and we close this tag. In between we wrote that the server name is this, and my document root, I mentioned this. If you remember, let me show you. Previously, if you've seen my video, the default document root for Apache is this. Now we're doing is we're creating another website, and then my document root is this. One more thing I forgot, we'll specify port number here. By default, the Apache port number is 8080. If you see, Apache is running on port 80. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run another website on a different port number. Let's say 8080. Cool. Okay. Done with the basic settings. Virtual host tag, open, close, port mention, server name, document root. Cool, everything similar. Now the next part of configuration is to, if you see, we mentioned port 8080, so we're gonna add an entry for that in my global environments. So to do that, if you go to the top of the file, just press GG. If you see here, it says global environments. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna find for something called listen. If you don't know how to find it, just press slash what you want to find, and you see it says listen on 80. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another entry for port 8080, and we're done. Cool, simple. Now to check if our configuration is cool or we done some mistake, you can do an Apache CTL-T to test it. It says ignore this warning, it says syntax okay. Cool. You can also do an -s, which will show you your virtual host configuration. If you do this, you say virtual host configuration 8080 NxZ.com. In this file we mentioned in this line number, syntax okay. Cool. If you don't know anything, just do an H, or you can also do something like this maybe. No, you can do this. Cool. So let's go to the warning. What it says, it says document root, what you mentioned there, does not exist. So basically it's saying that if you say let's do an ls cd to slash, and we do an ls-hell, sorry, and if you say the home directory, where is it? I couldn't find. Okay, home directory. Now we go to home, and if I do an ls-l, you see there's no folder called NxZ, which the warning is saying this folder does not exist. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create this folder, and we're gonna create this folder, and also we're gonna create the logs folder. If you remember, we are placing our access log and error log in this folder, so we're gonna create this, and this. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do now, let's do a user add. While we're doing a user add, if you remember, again go to this, if you see the admin of this particular website is NxZ. Okay, so that's why we're creating a user. Let's create a user. To add a user in Linux, you do a user add command, or you can also do a add user, doesn't matter. So user adds NxZ. To set the password, we do passwd. Note it's not POWORD, it's WD. Okay, and the name of the user, set the password, and we're done. Now if you see this user entry, it has already created a folder for us in home directory. Cool. Okay, let's just ignore this. Just ignore all this. What all this is. Let's just concentrate on this now. If you see I'm inside home. It's also showing here where I'm at. So if I do an L, you see the NxZ is created. So let's go to NxZ. If I do an ls, there's nothing. See, there's nothing. So let's create a folder. Let's go inside that folder and create a folder called logs. Cool. So if I'm inside this directory now, and I've created a folder called logs. Cool. So basically what we did was we created a user, because the admin of this website is NxZ. So it is recommended, not compulsory, to create a user. You can also do like mkdir NxZ, then you can create a folder inside that and so on, but it is recommended to create a user. Cool. So if I do an Apache CTL-S again, the warning is gone. Good to go. Now let's try to restart the service. Before that, okay, let's do it. If I try to restart now, it says failed. So why is it failing? If I go, let me show you something related to firewall. As I told you in my previous video, you have to allow this port number, my current port number. If you see, this port number has to be allowed through your firewall, so it can go out of your network. This is my virtual machine. This is running in a VMware workstation, and this is my host machine, which is a Ubuntu with Manjaro Linux flavor, I would say. um, so to allow your machine or your system to be accessible outside your network, what you're gonna do is you have to allow it through your firewall, or you can just disable the firewall. Let's see if my firewall is running, as it's a service. The firewall in RHEL 6 or CentOS 6 is called as IP tables. So if we do a status, it's not running, so let's just ignore it. If it's running in your system, just disable it, or you can do a stop, and you're good to go. Next thing, let me type it for you, the firewall, and the next thing we're gonna do is look for something which is known as SC-Linux. So the firewall is not running, so it's cool. Now for SC-Linux we do some commands called SC-status. For let me show you what it, SC-Linux, it's spelled like security enhanced Linux. Cool. So to see the status of SC-Linux, we do a SE status, enter. It says a status is enabled, but if you see the current mode, it's enforcing. So what we're gonna do is, you can also do a command which is get enforce, which will just show you the current mode. If you do a get enforce, it says enforcing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disable the SC-Linux for temporary purpose as well as for future or forever, I would say. So to do that, we do a set enforce. Now what is a set enforce? If I have what is, let's say, no. So what is set enforce is, it will disable the SC-Linux, and the set enforce command takes two parameters or two boolean values, I would say. One is 0, another is 1. Okay, 0 means permissive and 1 means enforcing. If I set it to 0 and go to get enforce, it says permissive. Cool. If I again go to set enforce 1, sorry, you can see it's showing, this command is showing something. Set enforce 1 and get enforce, it says enforcing. Cool. 0. If you don't know what parameter to pass, just enter this command, enter. It says enforcing is 1, and permissive is 0. Cool. So we are currently disabled the SC-Linux. Now if I do an SC status, the current mode is permissive. So to disable it, now this is temporary, okay guys. Set enforce is temporary. Cool. Sorry. To disable it permanently, for permanent, let me type it for you. Maybe I'm not audible enough. You edit the config file which is located inside etc. As you know now what it is inside etc, sorry, /etc, SC-Linux and config. Cool. We're gonna edit this file. If I do a vi to this, it says SC-Linux enforcing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable it, but so do that, I'll just type disabled. Cool. Another thing, let's see, if you go inside a v editor, you cannot type, you cannot type, fuck this, my laptop keyboard is sucked. Okay, you cannot type. So what you're gonna do is you have to go to insert mode, like I. If you see there's nothing, so I cannot type now. If I press I, it says insert, so I can write now. If you see, let me type, I can write. If I press escape and type again, it doesn't write. Can you hear it? Okay. To get back out of this mode or insert mode, you say any mode, you press escape, and then to write and quit, to save this file, you do a W to write, and you do a Q to quit. To do it the fast way, double Q. Cool. So you say get enforced. Okay, permissive. Cool. Now let's try to restart the service. HTTPD restart. Okay, cool, the service is restarted. Let's check the status. It says HTTPD is running, so let's go to our web browser. I'm expecting something from now. 152, this is our web server. If you remember in my previous video, another website which is running on port 8080. Before that, let me show you. It has opened that port. If you remember the netstart command, it will show you open ports in your server. If you do netstart-tnlp, you see port 80 is running Apache, and also port 8080 is running Apache web server. Cool. If I go to port 8080 to define the port, you do a colon here, colon, cool, colon 8080, and permission denied. Cool. So what it says, forbidden, you don't have permission to access / on the server. Before going any further, if you see any type of error like this, like forbidden 403, 404, 505 or anything like that, guys, don't panic, guys. It's cool. We have to learn this. Our main motto is to learn, so it's all cool. So let's go to /. It says /, so go to /. Let me open it again. Port 80. Now let me take this here and this here. Cool. My present working directory / sorry. If I do an ls-l here, the home directory, okay, it says permission. So before going to permission thing, let me explain to you a little bit about permission and why we do ls-l and why we don't do ls. Okay, simple. So we do an ls-l. So if you see, it says /. Let me explain. Let's go inside home. I'll tell you, maybe it's simple for you. If you see this folder, let me explain to you this whole line. What it's saying now is this is the directory. D stands for directory. Okay. If I create a file here, to create a file we do a touch. If I do an ls again, you see for a file it doesn't show anything, so it's understood it's a file. For a folder or a directory, it shows D. Cool. Now this are total 9 segments, or we say 9 columns. The first 3 is for the users, the second 3 is for the group, and the third, another 3 or last 3 is for the world, or the one end users, I would say clients, is for the client. So first 3 is for the user, the second 3 is for the group, and the third 3 or the last 3 is for the world. Cool. So the syntax goes like this: 1 2 3 and 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. So the first 3 is for user, another 3 is for group, or another 3 is for others, which is, let me spell it for you, others, or we can call it world. Cool. So these are permissions. This, ignore this, this is the user of this folder. As you can see, lost and found, the user is root, the group owner is youth. So the user is NxZ for this folder, particular folder. For the group admin or the group user is NxZ as well. This is the size, this is the creation date and modification time and whatever. So okay, if you say the whole thing, if you understood, this is the directory, the permissions, the user, the group, the size, the creation time and the modification time. Cool. If you see now, it says on /, so my document root, if you go to /home or / again, and if you do an ls-l, okay, if you say the home read/execute for the user, root user, let's go to home again. Ignore this, just ignore all this what I said now, just ignore this. If I do an ls-l here, you see only the user, NxZ user, is allowed to read/execute in this particular folder and no other. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give a group permissions, and we're gonna give some world permissions, I would say, permissions to the world. So to do that, we do a chmod, which is change modification, change modification. We do a 775, sorry. and the name of the folder. Now you must be thinking, what is 775? So let me explain. 7, so 4 is to read, 2 is to write, and 1 is to execute. So 7. So this 4 is this read, this 2 is this write, and this 1 is execute. So 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. 4 plus 2, 6, means read and write. 4 plus 1, 5, means read and execute. Cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give a user full permission. Group, if you remember, group has no permission here. If you say this 3 column has it. So what I'm gonna do is group a full permission, and to the world I'm gonna give read and execute. So 4 plus 1, 5, and let's say NxZ. Cool. NxZ. Cool. Now let's try to refresh this page. Okay, boom, we have Apache 2's test page powered by CentOS. Let me quickly create, if you know what we did in the previous video, we created an index.html file there. Let me create here. 8080. Let me import that to a file called index.html. You can write anything, guys. Blah blah blah. You can write anything. It doesn't matter. I just prefer to write index.html because this is standard. If I do a cat to this, it says hello from 8080. If I refresh this page, it says hello from 8080. Cool. Okay, we're done with it. Now, if you see, oh sorry dude, if you see we have 2 websites, one is running on port 80, it says test, and one is running on port 8080, which is saying hello from 8080. Cool. Now let me explain to you something. How does it does that? Let's go to Notepad. So what we did, how it's done, it says virtual host, as Google says, allows you to run multiple websites. Oh, my keyboard is fucked up. Multiple websites. How does it do that? Sorry guys. How does it do that? It do it by using ports. Suppose I want to run multiple websites, let's say web 1 and web 2 and web 3. So what Apache can do is it can run some websites on port 80, which is default. It can run another website on, let's say, any port you like. It's not compulsory to use 8080, any number you like. Let's say 801, and some another websites on port 802. So it can run multiple websites, not just 3 websites. It can go on as long as your system takes it. So it can run multiple websites by using ports. Cool. Okay guys, see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, take care.